Hi, welcome to the banks of Fonte in this beautiful October morning. I have with me my very good friend and proprietor of this fantastic fishery, Mr. Philippe Blime. Morning, Philippe.
How are you, Melly?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having us down and allowing us to do this DVD this week. Basically, I've known you for many years now.
Yes.
I also knew the previous owner.
Yes.
And as you know, I have a fondness for this venue. You, as a new owner, you've implemented certain changes, which is your prerogative. In this interview, I'd just like to get across some of the things that you've done, find a little bit about your background in the industry. I know, per se, you're not a carp angler, but you have a very, very grounded background in the fishing industry, which we'll touch on in a short time. Basically, just so that the people at home can find out a little bit about the man that now runs the whole operation that is Fonte. So, if you're okay with that,
Sure.
I'd like to probe into your background first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, first I started my career as a consultant. I worked for McKinsey & Company, which is a well-known management consulting firm. And then later in my career, I bought Mitchell, which was in fact a wonderful company, but that had gone into bankruptcy in 1981.
And this is Mitchell, the fishing.
Yes,
company.
the fishing company, the reels and rod company, and it is a French company. Many people think it's a U.S. company because of the name, but it was based in France in Cluse, which is in Haute-Savoie, near the mountains.
Okay.
And the previous management had made some mistakes. First, they had not reacted sufficiently to the newcomers, which were the Daiwas and the Shimanos, and they thought they were the kings, so they didn't have to change anything.
So you sat back and rested on the laurels. So.
Exactly, yeah. That's for one thing, and then another thing is that they had a young marketing manager that wanted to look modern, so he changed the shape of the reels, which were traditionally, oval, and he made them square.
Okay.
And Mitchell which was written in a nice traditional way. He made it like a computer, with points at the time.
Yeah.
And the anglers didn't like that at all because they didn't recognize Mitchell. For them, Mitchell was the old traditional.
The old school type of. Yeah.
Sure. And so the sales went down, and finally they went bankrupt. So when I took it over, I was able to get it back on trail, and I came back to the tradition. I made again the shape round, and I wrote Mitchell the traditional way, and I made a number of also technical changes so that they would be more modern, and in fact, we turned it around, and I stayed about 15 years running Mitchell,
Right.
And then I sold it to a U.S. company,
Yeah.
and I stayed running Mitchell after I had sold, and they had asked me also to run not only Mitchell but other companies they had in Europe, like Plastimo, which was for boat. And Scuba Pro for diving,
Right.
and Jack Wolfskin, which was a German camping.
Yeah.
So I was over all that in Europe for a few years,
Right.
Which was quite fun.
So it's quite a diverse background within the industry then.
Yes, and I must say I always enjoyed because what I liked is that especially fishermen are really people that love what they do, and they love the equipment. And Mitchell, for instance, they liked very much the brand. They had a sort of affection tie with the brand. So it was not just business; it was also something more, effective.
Yeah, I think I can speak for a lot of people as well. Most of when we went to, I'll speak for myself firstly. When my first reel was a Mitchell, I remember it now. I don't have it anymore. Biggest mistake of my life getting rid of it. I loved it. I think you could probably speak to 90% of the anglers that will visit any lake, and they will say the same thing. Some of them will still have them, some will cherish them, but most of them started out on that Mitchell the early days when they started fishing, it was what they grew up with.
Yeah.
So I kind of see where, you know, taking it back to its roots would be the way to go, because
Yeah.
obviously, I don't like change so much myself. If something's good to start with, it doesn't need mending, really. And if somebody, like you're saying, somebody's coming and done that, I would be one of the people that would be like, no, I preferred it the way it was. So I think that decision alone that you made there is probably fundamentally the basis of why the company turned around. But
And one of the reasons why it was not so difficult to turn the company around is that the Mitchell name was known.
yeah,
So and the quality was recognized by so many people that that was a fantastic asset that I started. I remember once I went to the States in a little town to visit a dealer, a fishing tackle shop, and I took a cab, and then the cab, you know, they like to talk, so he asked, you know, what do you do, and so on. So I said, well, I work with Mitchell. I'm the president of Mitchell. And then he turned around. He said, "You're the president of Mitchell?" And, you know, I would have been the president of the United States. I think he wouldn't have had. It was really a great brand.
And you obviously enjoyed your days there.
Yes, I loved these years with Mitchell. So then I sold Mitchell, and I've retired a few years ago, and now I live about 8 miles from here in a nice big house with lots of animals. I have horses, donkeys, well, 2 horses, which I ride, and I have chicken and so on, and I enjoy very much.
So you really embrace the outdoor sort of life still?
Yes, I've always loved that. And then a couple of years ago, now about 3 years ago now, I was introduced to this La Fonte lake, and I fell in love with it immediately because I think it's a really lovely venue. And so I decided to buy it and to try to keep it, you know, alive and going.
I think you've done a really good job. I mean, some of the changes that we brought on earlier on, I know you've basically let the lake and the surrounding areas mature, which is quite nice. It's very green and thickening out really well, which I personally like. But it's not lost any of its cleanliness. That you know, the paths are still fantastically kept. The swims are maintained meticulously. I know you've had people out to maintain the lodge and extended the lodge, adding freezers.
Yeah.
Some people who have been, many people who will see this have been for years and years.
Yes.
With the
people like
owner.
to come again and again. Yeah.
And their comments that we see in the comment book when they go away, the changes you make, they're always positive changes. I mean, at no expense, I might add as well. I mean, these changes don't come cheap. So it seems to me that, you know, I mean, this isn't just a scheme that another Mitchell type scheme. This is something you've bought for a labour of love. Because of obviously the amount of input that you're putting in financially as well. And basically it's all to benefit the likes of me and anybody else that chooses to come to La Fonte for their holiday.
Yeah, and as you know, it's nearly only, in fact, it's only British anglers that come.
Yeah.
I don't have any French people coming here because I like the British relationship, you know, and for me it's fun to speak English.
Well, exactly,
Because I was born in New York, so that's why I speak English quite fluently.
Me, actually. So. But yeah, I mean that is a good point, because La Fonte can. I would prefer, if I came on a holiday, to be with the people I come with and not have to share a lake with strangers. A lot of lakes do that. You know, I mean, the lakes are either too big or too expensive to exclusively book.
Yeah, and here it's, I would say it's 90% exclusive bookings.
Yeah, and I think that's better, because at the end of the day, the people know each other.
Yeah, and the atmosphere, it's much more friendly, relaxed, and so on. There is no bickering, or how do you say bickering? Bickering between people.
Yeah, it's important as well, because I mean, there's more to it than just catching the fish. You need to be comfortable and I've noticed the security of the place is fantastic as well.
And then I have a great asset is Joanne, which, you know, she is on vacation this week, but she lives just next door. She has a nice Dutch Dutch lady.
Yep.
She speaks very good English,
Yeah.
and she likes very much to take care of the people who are here.
Yeah.
She comes every day, talks with people, and some people choose to have the food prepared.
Yeah,
you
'cause
know.
you do a package as well.
Yes.
If people can pre-book a breakfast, an evening meal, or both, and
That's right.
Joanne will come and cater for those people.
That's right, and
Which I've sampled actually as well, and I must say it's fantastic.
yeah, everybody loves her
Yeah,
cooking,
she's a
and
lovely. I mean, it's nice to come and not have to worry about that as well, which is important.
yeah,
Where some people will come and think, well, it may be a little bit cheaper. Of course, it's going to be cheaper, but then you've got to weigh in lost fishing time, and then you've got to clean up, and somebody has to cook it. Usually me or whatever. And it's just for me, a holiday's a holiday, and if you can have somebody like Joanne to cater for that.
yeah. I think it's about 60% of the anglers that come do choose that option of the package.
Yeah, and that I would imagine that rises.
Yes, that's true, especially with Joanne, because they love her, and she's fun. She likes to talk to people. She is a very nice personality.
Yeah. And the other thing I noticed about it as well, if there's a problem, and there's always problems on holidays, somebody breaks something, somebody needs something. I know myself. You do stock bait boats for hire. You have bed chairs, bivvies.
Yeah.
The fundamental basic tackle that people might not want to bring with them, it's possible to hire.
Sure.
You know,
Yes.
The rates aren't too bad. They're good, and the quality is fantastic as well. So it's that's worth bearing in mind as well. If you choose to come and space is at a premium, you could ring Philippe, and all that can be sorted out before you come. And it's usually on site and erected in a chosen swim if that's appropriate. If not, it's sat waiting for you when to come. Meals can be ordered, as we've just talked about. So it can be really taken care of, the fundamentals. So when you actually come, basically you're on holiday. And it does make a difference. You know, there's a lot of venues do it, and I, as you know, fish a lot of venues in France. Some do it to a good standard, some do it to a fantastic standard. I must admit, out of all the venues I fish, Fonte is my favourite venue. It's the one I've always come to. And I think the standards haven't dropped in between one owner taking off to the other. And that's I think that's just a testament to how this place has been run and is going to be run in the future, which is great because people sometimes will have that element of doubt from one owner to a next owner.
Yeah, sure, which is natural.
Be the same as this? And I think you've done a fantastic job.
Well, thank you.
So,
thank you. And then there's the house also, which can be rented by some anglers who would like to come with the family for a special. Like this summer, I had I think it's one of your friends, by the way, who came. Richard, he came with his family. It was his 60th birthday, and he came and he was really happy because he had rented both the lake and the house, and he had a fantastic time.
15 of them, 15 of those.
Yes, so, because the house you can have 16 people that can sleep in the house,
Yeah.
and then plus some
Yes,
people can
yeah.
sleep, so you can have a nice parties, or they had their meals in the house, and so he really loved it.
I know personally, I spoke to Richard, and he sings he loves the place, absolutely loves it. On his first visit, he's fallen in love with it, and I know he's
Well, in
he's
fact,
been
he
back
came.
since,
He came back last week. He was there again.
Yeah. Well, that's that itself speaks
Yeah,
spades
yeah.
for the setup you've going on.
And I understand. This week you had some good fishing. You had a
We've
few
had fantastic fish. I think we've had several fish.
over 40.
Over 40, yeah.
Yeah.
We've had a 42 or 44 common. The big Italian's been out finally at 49.
Yeah, the big Italian.
The big Italian, yeah.
He's one of your friends now.
He was definitely my friend this week. Yeah, but I mean, as I say, it's not the easiest venue to fish, but surely that must make it more of a challenge and more interesting. If you put the work in, it's the same as any venue. Sometimes you can.
What would you say makes it challenging?
Challenging just because the fish are an old stock fish. They've seen this lake has seen some very, very good anglers. Very good anglers. With that, the fish, I think, when it's a popular lake, they get fished for quite regularly. So they've maybe seen that tactic once. They'll get caught on it, maybe twice.
But then they become cautious.
Yeah. And I think then
wouldn't we?
Well, if you went to McDonald's and somebody kept pulling you into the car, you wouldn't go back to that McDonald's. So yeah, I just think if you go about any kind of lake, once you get big fish, and this lake does hold big fish, the easiest thing to say is, I haven't caught any. So it's obviously the lake. It's never the lake. It's never the lake. We know the stocking results of this lake. I personally was present when they were stocked. I like the stock level. I don't get bothered by the nuisance fish that some people do. It's about how you go about fishing through those. There's lots of information available on Fonte, on various websites and things like that. I myself am always open if somebody ever needs. They could get my phone number off you. I must have fished this place 200 times. There is certain ways that it can help you. Some people just want to come and just pit the wits against the lake. It'll all work. Some things work better than others. But one thing that I will categorically state, this venue has plenty of big fish to go at. Catching them is down to us. I think you've done everything you can.
Yeah. Well, obviously you've done a good job this week.
Yeah. Well, we've got good anglers. Obviously the guy that you can't see in this interview, Scotty, he's a prolific angler. He's fished some of the big lakes in France. Some of the other guys down the bottom, Dean and Frank, fished regularly in France. There's one little guy, young Louis. He's had the week of his life. Yeah, he's broke his PB 4 times and has ended up with a 42-pound common. So he's going away happy. So it can be done. And I think of all the venues, this is one of the venues that it can be done regularly on. But that's fishing.
Okay, well, thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Right, welcome back. We're just going to do a little bit now, just on the why and wherefores and the goings on that we've had this week. As you probably know, you've seen us. We've got Louis, Frank, and Dean. Their first visits to Fonte, basically. So I'm just interested to find out what you think about the venue, the way that I'm able to run what I do here with the trips wise. Just in case anybody at home's thinking about coming on an all-inclusive trip rather than jumping in the car and going yourself. There's pros and cons. They each have their own. You know that, you've done both, do you? You know that yourself. So basically, just any information, good or bad, anything you've got to say, we'll leave it up to Scott to do the editing. But if there's anything that we could do better from our side, it'd be good for me to know about. Anything that you thought was particularly done well, There may be something that you thought, I like that, but I didn't like that. That obviously the only thing that we can't do anything about is the fish in the lake.
That's fishing is fishing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it, mate. That's it.
They're the creatures out there.
Well, that's it. Yeah, and we know we've had some big fish this week. We've all caught some. Louis had a 40 and 530s, I think, Lou.
Yeah, 530s.
Yeah, everybody's managed to sprag a few out. Without concentrating too much, which we'll do at a later date on the actual tactics and the fishing, it's just more for an insight.
Generalisation,
Yeah, exactly, Frank. If anybody's is a warts and all your tale of your week.
I mean, we can only go by obviously our experience from this week as the guys like obviously getting picked up from our pick-up point.
Yeah.
Me and my dad having gear ready and getting picked up at a convenient point.
Yeah.
Which is obviously my house.
Yeah, we don't get much more convenient.
So that's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you could have backed up onto the driveway. Like,
I could have. I'll put that on the tick list
for next time.
Yeah. There's always a tick list.
But obviously, I know you've got a new vehicle, and obviously this is the first time we've used it.
Yeah.
And the comfort was absolutely superb.
Yeah.
Far superior.
Yes.
Yeah.
With loads of room.
Leg room.
Really comfy, really, to be fair.
Yeah.
One drawback probably your taste in music, but we can address that later, can't we?
Or we can always address your choice of music.
But now, joking aside,
I'm quite getting used to that music.
yes, very relaxing. As regards the trip wise that way, really good.
The pick-up was exactly as you said, time-wise. I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah.
Time we went down.
Well, that gets us organised between ourselves, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Depending on what time you want to travel and things like that.
That's it,
There's obviously
yeah.
issues,
Yeah.
but that gets sorted out.
And so the trip down was spot on, and you got there, we still felt refreshed.
Yeah, it makes a difference,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah,
It does
it does
make
make
a-
a-
I mean, I remember when I was in your position years ago, when I used to come and I was stuck on, I remember so many times coming in a transit van, in the back of a transit van with no seats, and I'm sat in a bait bucket, and which is great for 10 minutes,
Yeah.
but 15 hours,
Yeah,
it's a
We're
trek.
not going in the Junker.
No, we're not, well that's one thing
I
for
mean,
us for sure.
comfort-wise, I can't fault it.
We managed to get a few hours sleep coming down. I know we were driving down through the night, but it's like travelling in the car or in a van.
Yeah.
It just benefit from not being in the van. It's
Maybe
You don't feel trapped.
yeah.
Maybe because it was a French vehicle as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it knows where it's going. Yeah.
But then, I mean, obviously, then you go on to your food side, don't we?
Oh,
Which is obviously a big thing.
Just
Big.
yeah, you need,
Yeah, you need a
You
good...
need, we're fishermen. You're eating twice a day, sort of thing.
Yeah, well, your breakfast is your main one, isn't it?
You need to be set up for the day. And
You need to get an extra size jumper for going home. Absolutely awesome.
breakfasts have been absolutely fantastic.
Awesome.
All on time. There's been no waiting. It's been on the table and we've come.
Even shouted us when it's ready. And
Yeah, it's done right.
Yeah, it's, I mean,
I noticed you even shouted 10 minutes before it is ready to give us time to reel it.
yeah, there's not worse than coming to a
Yeah.
cold meal, is there?
Yeah.
So it's
which is another plus, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all these things mount up, don't they, to your holiday?
yeah. Well, I think that's the key in it. If you can go at the end of the week thinking I've had a holiday,
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
rather than it being
I mean,
a chore.
Yeah.
I mean, weather not been brilliant this last day too, has it? But
No,
it's been absolutely awesome. A bit cool.
Yeah, I mean we're lucky to have these facilities on this
Yeah.
lake as well, aren't
Yeah.
we?
I mean, the facilities are second to none, aren't
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
they? Yeah. I mean, you can't fault it. But,
Everything's at hand. It's all.
Yeah.
It's all there. It's all clean.
convenient.
Ready to use.
There's plenty of charging.
I mean,
points,
you're
isn't
also
Yeah.
during the week. You're always asking the lads as well. Like, obviously, you're not going every day, but maybe every other day you nip into the shop. Any lads want anything? Any few
Yeah.
beers, or
That's
you're always
it,
available
yeah.
to do that, which is really handy.
That's it as well. It's just got everything around it. It's not that far. You're not going out the way to get someone
it? I
something.
mean, it's picturesque, isn't it?
It is lovely, mate. Yeah, it is lovely.
You don't get muddy feet.
No,
Yeah.
which is I must
Especially
admit.
this last 2
Oh,
days, it's been raining.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine it would
Absolutely
be
awesome.
I mean,
Yeah.
as Frank's saying, we've probably got some footage of some of the swims on this particular lake, and which are really nice, aren't they? There's no mud, which
Yeah.
is great. I mean, it has been.
And it's looked after, isn't it?
It is, mate. Yeah, it's meticulous. Is the honour about that.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've had some rain over the last 24 hours, and you know.
I mean, we're all in Crocs out with basically.
Yeah, that's- yeah.
There's no messes there really.
That's
so.
it.
where-
And I would imagine at Push as well there is facilities on. Well, we've got clothes drying in there on a heater now,
Yeah.
which it just
Yeah,
makes a
yeah, yeah.
difference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 But the only time you probably need is if you're going around stalking right back.
Yeah.
You know, you need some boots and that for that.
That's it,
so
yeah.
you can get a bit damp around there,
Yeah.
can't it? But that's awesome as well. If you like the old-fashioned,
As you do, yeah.
Yeah.
It's your style, that
On
one.
your feet and on the move.
absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Proper way to catch.
Yeah, it's exciting.
I haven't really done much stalking about. I don't know if it's on the footage. It might be on either before or after. But my first chuck, half an hour, £28 mirror in a foot of water.
On his first
In a foot of water.
Fantastic.
You couldn't have asked for any better.
Spices things up a bit, doesn't it? Gives you that option. Rest your swim and go for something different, different style of fishing. Bit of more action, get a few more fish on the bank.
It's ideal for me because I like fishing all the time, and you keep telling me to try and rest your swim. But at this point, everybody in each peg can rest it and go do their own bit around the other side.
You're still fishing.
And you're still fishing as well, so you're resting your
like
swim.
you've
wasted
It's
your
like
day.
a mini canal ramp back.
Yeah,
it is, yeah.
Really nice in there.
Yeah, I mean, we've got footage of you both fishing around there. And there's plenty of room as well if everybody wanted to go at once.
There's room all around the other side. Yeah,
Plenty of fish as well.
Yeah.
They're all,
Yeah, there's plenty to go at.
Yeah, I mean, so getting off the trips, obviously you both enjoy, all three of you enjoy the trips, and which is good from our point of view. You know, that's fantastic. So if we could just the various styles that you've adopted. I know you guys have used a bait boat.
Yes, we've got in the shallow end, so to speak.
Yeah, because I mean purely because of the distance and,
Yes.
and the accuracy you needed of
Yeah.
that old thing.
Yeah, you've got to be most tempted.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's obviously thinking about fishing the shallows, I mean, obviously you'll be discussing it with them anyway. I think it really needs to be obviously bait boat
You can
orientated.
anyway, can't you?
Yeah,
Oh,
you can.
no.
Yeah, there is a wealth of tackle to be had from it. Very,
But it-
biddies, chairs.
Cheap as well, aren't they?
They are cheap, mate. Yeah, compared to other venues. Yeah, he's
He's not ripping a rope, is it?
No, he's got. It's a facility and it's a service, so there's
Yeah.
a charge.
Yeah. But it's
That
a nominal,
said, it's a nominal charge,
Yeah.
which is good. Which is, if people decide to do that, it makes more room in the vehicle and
Yeah.
la-di-da.
Which I mean, next time, and definitely be a next time when I come, I'll certainly consider adding a bivvy and
Yeah.
just make more
Just trying
room.
to keep
Less carrying about.
keep the load down. That's all.
That's it. Yeah. I mean,
And it's better for you.
it's when you go home. It's Friday night now. We've got one night left and we're packing up in the morning. In the back of my mind, I'm dreading it.
Yeah.
Because it's not like when you come in and you've got
Yeah, all
something to look
excited,
forward to,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
all.
yeah.
Whether you've had a good week or a fish-wise, bad week fish-wise, it's still time to go home. So there's.
I think that's the time when it gets tested. Your journey back, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think on hand on that, I think we'll
I think
be
it'd be a lot better.
Comfort,
yeah,
yeah.
very comfy.
And it's going to make a
You're not dreading the
big
drive. You're not dreading it. 'Cause
You've started the ferry out, of course, for like a flexible.
drive.
Yeah, we
So
yeah.
we can set off 10, 11, 12, depending what happens and what time we get off.
And we've got that leeway.
We've got that leeway as well.
We've got
we
72. Yeah,
can make tracks out. We can be there early as well. So
excuse me. Yeah, we've got 72-hour leeway on them tickets. They're more expensive, but
it's worth it.
per person it doesn't work out because it's
Yeah.
the business that pays for the ticket. We
Yeah.
choose to do it that way,
Yeah.
and it's great because we can. If
You're not
if
tied
you have
down.
a particularly bad week and the weather's against you and everybody says,
You can go.
let's go home a day early.
yeah,
There's no extra cost to do that. And yet again, sometimes I've had it where people have caught a £60 common, and they just that's it. They love it. And I've had people even say, when that happened, well, could we go on Friday? Strange.
yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're stuck to a
Oh,
timetable,
Can we go Friday?
we can go next Friday night. So, but just to get onto you, Lou, you've had a particularly good week fish-wise
Yeah.
in an open
great.
water swim,
Yeah.
using 2 rods.
Yeah, I
Oh,
came
yeah.
came wanting to fish and open water swim. I do a lot of margin work, and like I say, it's done well, and I've really enjoyed that style of fishing. It's different to me, and it's done with quite a few fish,
Yeah.
and with fair few.
And you've had some of the bigger residents out of the lake.
Yeah,
so-
I've had 520s, 530s to 38, and a 40. So
You just had a 30 odd now, haven't you?
Yeah,
In between
yeah.
your tea.
yeah,
Yeah. The salad was just rudely interrupted for
Yeah.
£35
Gone
minute.
cold, isn't it?
I won't moan, I won't complain at that one. Like,
And you've used different. You've used some of my company's baits this week. You've had some,
Yeah,
some
I
big
have,
fish
yeah.
on that. And
Yeah.
You've used obviously other
Yeah.
boilies as well.
Yeah.
So a good quality hook bait will work.
that's it.
In the
Yeah,
venue.
yeah, that's it. And that's what I liked. You want trying to force feed as your bait. Must like other bait companies do. It was the bait's there. It works. You
Try it.
can try it if you want. And I've got on it, and like I say, it has produced my fish when my bait's gone slow. So it's definitely worth looking into.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's we always have it on stock and we always carry it, but it's not for we don't throw it. We're not
Yeah.
trying to force it on
I mean,
anybody.
like me and my dad, we've on about like the £50 package, haven't we, ourselves? and we haven't been pushed onto it, and that's been more than enough.
Yeah.
I
mean, we're quite lucky in a way this week because in my experience of fishing this place is my personal best times of when I've used very little bait. I like to find them and catch them.
Yeah.
I'm not
Feeding them.
I don't go down this. I want to give them 10 kilo boilies
and
a
spodding
night.
and things like that. Yeah.
And yeah, it's not my style.
No.
And on here, it seems to work for everybody this week. Yeah, it's worked for everybody. So
I mean, that's another point I'd probably like to say as well. If people are obviously thinking about booking a trip, is just to listen to the advice from yourself, because you obviously fish the venues and things like that, and just try and gain your experience of how and what to bring. So to speak.
We've all got our own little.
You've all got your own little ways of doing things, of course, which you never put to side. Just take into account what obviously you advise.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, it's got the fish, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I've had fish up to £32 as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, just listen. Just listen.
I mean, the way I like to do it on here as well is if somebody's fishing a particular way, I don't have any objections to people using certain methods. If people would like to use leaders, I'm fine with that. In certain situations, open water, things like that. If they're fishing out and out to snags, I do get a little bit more wary. But it's only for fish safety. Whereas I will ask something like you. I will ask you to lock your reels up.
Yes.
And I will insist you've got snag ears.
Yeah. Yes. You asked me that, didn't you, before we even gone?
Before we even came.
Yeah.
Because I knew the type of angler you are. Everybody falls in love with certain swims, and I've fished with you before.
You know my type of fish, don't you?
Yeah. I know what you know. What you know what I mean. And with this place, it is quite a snaggy place. So any rules that we implement are only for fish safety. I mean, a lot of
sake of it, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't want anybody to change their style of approach.
No.
I mean, we were talking about that one earlier, saying you like people to fish their way and be happy with the way you fish, and most fishermen can actually fish, of course.
Yeah.
But just think of the fish. Just think in your head where you're fishing. Like you say, with them snags, they've got to be locked up and be on your reels and your rods straight away.
Yeah.
And for no way to actually leave your rods as well.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what people do?
Okay.
Yeah.
Start wandering to other swims, it's just a big no-no, is that?
Yeah, I mean, we have a chat, don't we? And obviously, I like everybody to be upfront and honest and try and be friends. And there's no need to break those kind of rules.
No.
You know, if you're fishing together, you fish together. There's no point in spreading yourselves right out and you get a fish of a lifetime and you need a picture. And then you've got to wind your rods in.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and it's just a bit silly. All we ask is common sense. That's all we ask. On this venue especially, because there is
there's not that many rules anyway, is
there isn't that many rules, mate. Yeah.
It's just the rules, just to, like, as we just said,
Just common
to
sense.
have to fish.
Yeah. And the mats and everything are provided here. The cradles are good quality. And
brilliant set,
there's obviously we prefer you to dip your nets when you come. So
it's great.
But yeah. For me, it's been a pleasure having all three of you on, and obviously Scotty, the guy behind the camera. Big thanks to Scotty, because he's done some fantastic work again this week.
Yeah.
It's just been a perfect holiday, a lovely holiday.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll just leave it on that, because you can't say any better than that.
It's just
We've
a holiday, so.
definitely come
Well,
back.
it's been an absolute pleasure.
No, thank you.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you.
Frankie boy.
Thank you.
Well done, son. Thanks very much.